From Mississippi Solo, memoir by Eddie Harris. Too many marvelous days in a row, and you begin to get used to it, to think that's the way it's supposed to be. Too many good days, too many bad days. You need some break in the monotony of one to appreciate the other. If you only get sunshine, someone said, you end up in a desert. I guess I'd had enough hard days to last me for a while. Enough scary times to be able to appreciate the peaceful, easy, glorious days. On the way to Natchez, I had another one, and I took full advantage of it to do absolutely nothing. No singing, no thinking, no talking to myself, just feeling. Watching the river, noticing the changes in color, seeing the way it rises and falls depending on the wind and on what lies on the riverbed. Each change had something to say, and I listened to the river. The river was talking to me, changing colors from puce to brown to thick murky green, saying nothing. The idle chatter you get when you walk with your favorite niece or nephew going no place in particular, with nothing special on your minds, and the little kid just jabbers away because it's comfortable, and he feels like it. The river was like that to me. A comfortable buddy sharing a lazy day. Nothing else mattered then. Going someplace or not, arriving in New Orleans or shooting past and landing in Brazil. I didn't care about anything. The river kept me company and kept me satisfied. Nothing else mattered. Then the river whispered, "Get ready. Get ready." The day turned gray and strange. Clouds rolled overhead in wild swirls like batter in a bowl. I could see the rainstorm forming off in the distance, but swirling rapidly toward me, like a dark gray avalanche. I felt the river dip down and up, a shallow dale in the water. I passed from the cool moisture surrounding me and into a pocket of thin air, hot and dry. It was as though a gap had opened in the clouds and the sun streamed through to boil the water and heat up this isolated patch of river, a scant 30 yards long. My first thought was to shed a shirt and stay cool, but when I passed through the far curtain of the insulated air, I knew I had better do just the opposite. I drifted and donned my yellow rain suit and hood. The sky above grew serious and advanced in my direction with the speed of a hurricane. Looking for a place to land, I scanned the shore. There was no shore, only trees. Because of the heavy rains and high water, the shore had disappeared, and the new shoreline of solid earth had been pushed back through the trees and beyond the woods. How far beyond, I couldn't tell. I looked across to the other side of the river 1/2 mile away. No way could I have made it over there. Halfway across, the wind would have kicked up and trapped me in the middle. The leading edge of the storm came, and the first sprinkles passed over like army scouts. The wooded area lasted only another 100 yards or so, and I thought I could easily get there before the rains arrived. I could then turn left and find ground to pull out and wait out the storm. But the voice of the river came out and spoke to me teasingly, but with a chill of seriousness down my spine. I could have ignored it, but as if reading my thoughts and not wanting me to fight it, the river grabbed the end of the canoe and turned me toward the trees. I thought I was looking for land. I wasn't. I was looking for shelter. The urge to get into the trees came on me quite suddenly, and really without thought or effort on my part. Almost an instinct. No sooner had I ducked into the trees than the sky split open with a loud crash and a splintery crackle of lightning. I was not going to make it through the trees. The wind came in at hurricane strength. The tips of the trees bent way over and aimed toward the ground like fishing rods hooked on a big one. Water flooded like the tide rushing upstream. The trees swooshed loudly as the leaves and branches brushed hard together. Branches fell. Rains came and poured down bucketfuls. The trees were tall and no more than 3 feet around. I maneuvered the canoe as best I could in the wind and rushing water, turned it to face upstream, and kept my back to the rain which slanted in at a sharp angle. I reached out for the sturdiest tree I could get my arms around, and I held on. Water everywhere. The river sloshed over the side and into the canoe. I tried to keep the stern pointed right into the flow so the canoe could ride the waves, but it didn't work. The canoe was twisted about, and water poured over the side. The rain was heavier than any I had ever been in or seen before. It really was more like a tropical storm. The heavy winds, the amount of water, the warmth of the air, and the cold rain. Only my neck was exposed to the rain. When the rain hit my neck, it ran under the rain suit and very cold down my back. The wind shifted as the storm came directly overhead. Water streamed straight down. I was drenched, and the canoe was filling up quickly. Anything in the canoe that could float was floating. If the rain continued for long, or if the wind kept up strong and the rain kept spilling into the canoe, I would sink. But I was not worried, hardly more than concerned. In fact, I enjoyed the feeling of the water all around me and on me, enveloping me like a cocoon. And despite the drama, I felt no real threat. I was more amazed than anything, trying to analyze the voice I had heard, or whatever instinct or intuition it was that urged me to park in these trees. It had been something so very definite that I could feel it, and yet so ethereal that I could not put my finger on it. So I stopped trying and just sat there patiently, waiting and hugging my tree. I was one with this river, and nothing could happen to me. The storm slid forward, and the rain slanted in on my face. Then it moved on farther up the river to drench someone else. It was gone as suddenly as it had arisen. Only the trailing edge was left, a light rain that lasted, almost, until I reached Natchez.